All right, so this is a suggestion via a channel member. Let's jump into it.
We are not naive, and we understand that where large powers contend, large powers very often will want to show testicular fortitude. And that testicular fortitude may have negative impact and implications for small countries such as ours.
Testicular
I wanted to say
fortitude.
Happy New Year to each and every one of you, but the last 24 hours have proven to be exceedingly challenging, and it is important that we speak to the country.
I have so many questions right now, guys.
On the multiple
So many
fronts
questions.
that we have been affected in the last 24 hours, that we keep everyone up to date and to let people know that things are under control with respect to the consequences that we are now currently facing. It is fair to say that what we saw happen last night in Venezuela is uncharted territory. It is also fair to say that what we saw happen in Barbados last night must also become a thing of the past, and to that extent the law enforcement officers have also met with me, so that I am here for dual reasons today and not just one, but any one of the two would have been sufficient to bring me to address the people of this nation. With respect to the first matter, with respect to Venezuela's and what is happening in Caracas and broader Venezuela, about just around 3 o'clock this morning, I was awoken, well, not even awoken because I really wasn't sleeping, and I saw that we were having difficulties, and from then was in contact with other colleague heads of government as well as the Secretary General of CARICOM, and we had an urgent heads meeting from which you would have seen a statement earlier today. That meeting took place just after 5 o'clock this morning, and at that stage we recognized it was too early a stage for us to make any defining comment. That is still the position, because as we speak, matters are unfolding every half hour to an hour. You are as aware of the statements being made by different players, from the President of the United States of America to the Secretary of State to others, just as we are. But where Barbados becomes affected is on a number of areas, and we would have said this previously, which is why we continue to assert that small states really can only survive in an international rules-based order. For us, we all...
Yeah, so basically we're talking about the same exact thing I was just talking about in a previous video, right? The reason why they are so scared is because they know if we, in fact, kind of decide to show our legitimate might here, encounter massive, they're going to be encountering massive amounts of like gunboat diplomacy, and they really do not want to be able to do that because they know they cannot compete, right? They cannot compete at all, right? So everything is just coming down to like that specific thing. Oh, the United States of America, gigantic military. If they absolutely start using it for what it's for, then we will absolutely be steamrolled over. So this is kind of why they're saying this here. But again, Barbados is not a place specifically known for like large scale doing exactly what Venezuela has been doing for a really long time. That's not the case here. So what is the argument even? Right? Are they overblowing the situation? Do they even have to have these conversations? Specifically, if their country is not kind of even in, you know what I'm saying, in the line of places that are like negatively affecting the Western Hemisphere. I don't know, guys. I'm kind of all over the place on this one here.
Always said that conflict would have consequences, and many of you asked, what would those consequences be? What would they look like? Well, we're living them out today.
Really?
With the actions taken in Venezuela, a number of disruptions took place, primarily with respect to our airspace, or planes coming from the US, I should say. There are 3 major areas in the region, Eastern and Southern Caribbean, and then one in Puerto Rico, 4 altogether in the Caribbean, that effectively manage the upper flight space. But as you would appreciate, Barbados is probably the biggest hub closest to Venezuela in terms of tourism, and therefore in terms of air flights and in terms of hotel accommodation and cruise accommodation, we would inevitably be affected.
Just a few questions from me quickly. I know you said it's still early days as it relates to a CARICOM position and statement. However, I am with hearing terms such as a reboot of the Monroe Doctrine coming back to play with this attack on Venezuela.
Yes.
What is Barbados' position on the actual event itself?
Let me be very clear, Colville. Venezuela is our friend. The United States of America is our friend. In fact, in both instances, we have family relations with both countries.
Okay, so
By
you're playing the middle.
token, the Caribbean community has been the entity that we have chosen as a matter of first principles to align our foreign policy with.
Okay.
When the heads of government met this morning, all of the persons were not there because it was an emergency early meeting. We took a decision that we will wait for other information to become present. And when that happens, we will certainly act collectively, and I do not want in any way to prejudice the integrity of that consultative process with CARICOM. Having said that, I've been very clear that our principles are very, very clear, and that small states, and by small I don't only mean as small as Barbados, but much larger than Barbados, but still considered small. Small states can only survive in an international rules-based order, and that therefore
She's not
anything
wrong.
that happens that runs contrary to that would be of grave concern to us as a people in Barbados, but
You're not
equally
wrong.
as to the region. So without prejudice, I will await any further consultations on the specifics of this incident, but I just share with you the principles that mean a lot to us beyond the normal international law principles.
And a follow-up question, Madam PM. You mentioned that basically, if no further escalation within Venezuela, the short-term impacts should likely pass quickly. What are the permutations as it relates to the potential long-term impacts on our,
we don't
our
know,
tourism?
Colville, we simply don't know. For me to speculate and to conjecture anything now would be just simply that, conjecture. Can't do it. I ask you to allow the events of the next few days to play out. There are perspectives as to what has transpired in Venezuela that I suspect will continue to play out in the next few days. So I do not think that we are in a position to offer any meaningful commentary at this stage. What I can say is that we are dealing with the consequences of the conflict. And the consequences of the conflict have been exceedingly disruptive to both of our ports of entry, the Grantley Adams International Airport and the Bridgetown Port. And to that extent,
A lot of military traffic, basically.
human realities, because those disruptions have meant that people have been affected, and not only wealthy people visit our nation, so that there are some people who will not be able to take care of themselves in the circumstances. We're trying to get to the bottom of it. And between the rooms that remain from the BHTA, as well as contingency plans that we have for other facilities, not just for today, but as you correctly said, should something happen again. President Trump did say that there may well be a second strike. We don't know. By the same token, we are hoping and praying that there will be a de-escalation of any such conflict, because, as I've said over and over, escalation and war, of conflict and war, does not serve anyone's interests. And Barbados has always held the position that where there can be dialogue, where there can be conversation, let us have it, and let
you
us
have
see
to hold
where
that.
we can find a common place.
Okay, I think we're good here, guys. Yeah, they have to have that position, though, right? I mean, again, they have no ability not to have that consistent conversation and that overall stance and standpoint. And she's also not wrong by saying this here. There are countries that exist exclusively because of international law, and these countries will, in fact, no longer be able to be countries. They'll be taken into larger, stronger countries that kind of immediately have the ability to annex, let's just say this here, right? I mean, they can take over your country by just walking into it, if that makes any sense here. Definitely Barbados is one of those countries. There are also a lot of countries that are slightly larger than Barbados in the region, that region specifically, that would also be immediately taken over if international law specifically was to, for the most part, go away here, right? So I do understand where she's coming from. In fact, I get it. I'm not ignorant of specifically the plight of like a lot of like super minuscule countries kind of around the planet here. I get that. They would not exist. Okay. They just would not exist at all, bro. They wouldn't. My only worry right now is mainly what China is planning to do with Taiwan, because, like, again, whenever things like this happen, I always kind of bring up the idea of precedent and what's to stop China now from just like walking into Taiwan, right? Other than Japan, right? You get what I'm saying here? Like, what's to stop them, right? Like, if they do something, can we look at them terrible still, or not, or like, no, I don't know, guys. Either way, the kind like. Let me try to go ahead and word this in a way that makes sense and won't get clipped in a crazy manner, bro. Without international law, like the way it is and like how it functions, or how it functioned at least, right? There would be a lot of places that just would never exist. And if you allow for international law to completely be eroded, then there are going to be 3 countries on Earth. 3. That's it. And then it's going to come down to a big, big, gigantic kerfuffle that's going to absolutely end a lot of people's lives. And it's basically going to be Russia, China, and the United States of America. That's it. All right. So understand that. All right. Understand that. So let's see where this goes. Obviously, I do understand her plight, in fact, here. But, what can we do now, guys? What can we do now about that? Guys, do you want to watch movies with me? I never actually thought to like promote it over here, guys. But if you guys do want to watch it, guys, we have hundreds of movies, and I mean hundreds of movies that we've reacted to. You guys can come watch them with me if you want to, along with many TV shows. Currently, we're working on the show Dexter, along with Vikings, and we have a lot of series that are already completed. But if you guys do want to watch it with me, the link is in the description. Everything's available at the second tier. But of course, if that's not your thing, guys, don't worry. Right? Listen, like and subscribe.